Hello my friends, how are you doing? Today is Tuesday, July 23rd, and I am back today with an update video. If you're brand new to my channel, welcome. My name is Olivia. This is my YouTube channel, Pumpkin Hollow Quilts. Today's update video will be primarily about cross stitching. However, I do have a little bit of quilting to show and share. So if one or both of those hobbies catches your fancy, I hope you will consider sticking around and hanging out with me for a little while today. I'm going to start off today's video by talking a little bit about the previous one I did, which was the Mocking Basket of Whips video. Put that out about 2 weeks ago, and I had a lot of fun filming it. And the feedback that I got was 99.9% positive. So I couldn't have asked for anything better. I did know in sharing that video that I would get some negative feedback. Unfortunately, I mean, you can't have these very public videos out on the internet without receiving criticism or, unnecessary or hateful comments. I mean, it is what it is. I know at the beginning of that video, I talked about how I don't put up with bullies, and I honestly didn't put up with them. The comments are deleted. The people are blocked. They're no longer able to leave public comments on my videos anymore. So that's about all I can really do. I wish there was a better way to sort of reach out and slap their hand before they could type their barf and leave it on a comment on a video. And the weirdest thing was when I saw the comments, there was something going on that was, like Freddie had to go to the vet unexpectedly. So I was at work and I was, very, stressed and worried about him. And then that's when 2 of the comments popped up, and it's like, oh my gosh, the universe hates me. And then yesterday was when the 3rd comment came in, and that's when I was stressed about the unexpected plumbing bill that, we were going to have today. So it was just kind of interesting. It just seemed like whenever I was going through something, whether it, has any sort of negative anything, it seemed like that's when, the hateful comments would pop up. And like yesterday's comment really set my blood to boiling. And luckily I had to go pick up my paycheck. Otherwise I probably would have said something that I would have regretted. And I definitely don't want to ever stoop to those people's levels. So, I just kind of stepped back, and I got home and I dealt with the comment, and, I'm trying my best to forget about it. It'll take a little while before, the sting of those hateful comments goes away. But I am glad that so many of you guys enjoyed the video, the projects, and it meant a lot to me that you reached out and shared that you loved the videos, and you also shared, your own experiences dealing with bullies. And so I really appreciated that more than you can possibly know. So thank you to all of you for all of your wonderful and kind comments. And all I can say is just continue to put that positivity out in the world, because you don't know what's going on in someone else's life. And by sharing a smile, a kind word, sharing something positive, it goes a long way in someone else's life. So continue to spread that positivity. And I myself will do my best to also when I can spread kindness when I can. But thank you so very much. I appreciate all of those kind comments so much. All right, so not to point out the obvious, but you guys might have noticed that there's something a little bit different behind me, and many of you commented on the new edition. I didn't say anything about it in my last video because that video was more focused on the content, but because this is an update video, I can feel free to share my new shelving unit behind me. So I know when I posted a photo on Instagram and Facebook, a lot of you guys were really sad that King Tut was not behind me anymore, and you won't be able to see him except for right here. You can kind of see a little of the shine from his head. He's just right here on the other side. I plan on having him hold a plant. I just need to find a plant that will fit on his hands. But I haven't got rid of him. He's still very much a fixture in this room. And when I was setting my shelving unit up, one of the things my husband said to me was, you know, can we please not get rid of King Tut? Can we just move him someplace else? And I didn't have any plans on getting rid of him. I kind of assumed that he would stay in this room. I would just move him to a different location. It just so happened he works, you know, right here. I'll insert a picture so you guys know that he's still very much out here with me. But that was something that my sister-in-law had, my husband's sister had given Brian and I when we first got married. So I wasn't planning on getting rid of it. So he's still here. But the shelving unit, for a long time, I've been looking for something. Of course, I have this table here that I had got from Hobby Lobby. I've had it since like 2019 maybe. And then of course King Tut was here, and I have my tree right here, but I always kind of felt like I wanted a little something here. I don't have, so I know I've talked about this before. I live in a small house. Storage, shelving, all of that is a huge issue. So I wanted to try to find something where it wasn't too big, it could go in this room, kind of fit my primitive vintage vibe that I love, and that I would be able to display through the seasons. So a couple of weeks ago now, my husband and I had a very unexpected date night. We decided to go try a new restaurant in Mount Angel called Lou's Kitchen. A lot of you guys that are local to me ask what the name of the restaurant is. Lou's Kitchen, it's in Mount Angel, Oregon. It's in the old Glockenspiel restaurant. Really good food, great atmosphere. But when we parked, my husband said, I forgot to tell you that there is an antique shop that opened up. So we walked over to it, and it was 6:01 p.m. and they had closed at 6 o'clock. So I was like, oh, shucks, you know, and I was kind of looking at the window display. You could definitely tell that they were still setting things up. And I thought, well, we'll just have to come over here. It says that they're open the next day, so we'll just pop over in the morning. And the lady that owns the shop, she opened up the door and she's like, do you guys want to come in? I'm still setting up. We just, you know, opened. We're getting set up for our grand opening in August. Feel free to look around. So we did a lot of really cool stuff in the shop. If you guys who, again, are local, it's Baloo Collectibles, and it's where the old pharmacy used to be. So if you're, you know, from my area, Mount Angel, and it's where the old pharmacy was, it's called Baloo Collectibles. So she very graciously opened up the shop, let us wander around, and I saw a few things that I really liked, but, you know, didn't really need, and then I went back and got it the next day. But I came around a corner and I saw this shelf. So my husband asked her how much it was. I was expecting it to be way out of my budget, and it was $35. I bought it on the spot. So we went the next day, we picked it up, brought it home, and it's like it was made for this spot. So I'm just really in love with it. I had fun kind of decorating it a little bit. You can't see it, but well, you can see this bit of greenery here. It's an asparagus fern. I have it sitting on top. I will insert a photograph so you can kind of see it, and it's the whole shelf and everything in its entirety. I absolutely love it. I'm super excited to change it out with the seasons. I mean, the compartments aren't too terribly big, but you know, I do have some smaller cross stitch and things that I can put in there, and I love it. So such a great find. Husband and I had a great date night. I kind of hated when it was over because it was just so fun to just kind of go out and date. So another question that I got is about the quilt that is hanging up behind me. I know, in the video before, in my last update video, and then of course when I, posted online, I did say what the name of the quilt is and the book it came out of, but I still have a lot of you guys wondering, what the name of the quilt is, where can you find it, can you buy it as a kit? So I thought I would just answer it really quickly. So the quilt is called Constitution Quilt, and it comes out of this book, Stars and Stripes Gathering by Primitive Gatherings. I purchased this from Primitive Gatherings back in 2020. Pretty sure it was 2020. And I also purchased the quilt kit from them as well. It is from a fabric line that, came out when this book did. You can still find bits and pieces of it across the internet. Occasionally I run into, parts and things of it. But like all fabric lines, it's out of print, I would imagine. This is what it looks like. But as far as I know, you can still get the pattern. I would just go to the Primitive Gatherings website. If you don't see it available, ask. Find out what the status of it is. I don't really know anything. I don't know if you can get it. I don't know if it's out of print. I don't really know anything. A few years ago, it was very much still available. Maybe try the secondary market, eBay. But Constitution Quilt, and it comes out of this book, Stars and Stripes Gathering. Another question I get is about the fussy cut stars that you see in the log cabin blocks. That was also part of the fabric line that you go and you fussy cut. From time to time, I do still see it pop up, like on Etsy. If I'm looking for patriotic Civil War fabrics, it will pop up. The only thing I can maybe recommend doing is if you are familiar with hand embroidery, maybe try to hand embroider some stars onto a dark navy print. And that would look really cute. But beyond that, I'm probably not going to be much help. I do know occasionally Primitive Gatherings does come out with a patriotic line, because the year after this one came out, there was another patriotic fabric line that she came out with too. But I haven't looked into it at all, so I feel like I'm not really being much of a good help. So it has been 4 weeks since my last update video, and I've worked on kind of a variety of my projects. I'm currently kind of working my way through my assignments, and like tonight I will start working on my Shores of Hawthorne Hollow assignment. I didn't pull that out to share today because I have done nothing with it since I finished June's assignment, but I was able to complete the July assignment on the houses of Hawthorne Hollow. I'm currently working on block number 5, which is that one right there. And I love working on this one. I love a ginormous mustard colored house. It makes me so happy. So in August, I will be able to complete the 5th month. And I think I might have went a little bit more. I don't have that much more to go. I just have the rest of the second story and then the roof, and then this block will be done. This past month, when I started beginning to fill in the house, we were watching The Bear on on Hulu. And luckily I don't have to fast forward through any of the commercials. And I was just able to focus on filling in. So it made it go really quick. And I really enjoyed working on it. But next month in August, I will complete this block. And I could not be more thrilled. So I'm stitching the houses of Hawthorne Hollow on a piece of 40 count Heritage by Picture This Plus with DMC threads. And I'm stitching it 1/2. Looks so good. I just love it. I love it. So I did change out of quite a few of the colors on this block. I was trying to make it look a little bit more like the photograph. I don't really think I accomplished it, but I got it pretty dang close. So I'm happy with it. I like how it turned out, and I cannot wait to start the next block, which is this one, even though it's got all of this fill in. I'm debating about working on the house, doing everything but that fill in, and then as time goes on, just kind of jumping back and forth and, you know, filling in as I'm working on these other blocks. I don't know. I don't know if that would even work or if that would just be more of a headache, but I mean, that is a full coverage block right there. So we'll have to see. I got to decide before we start. I got a little bit of time. I got until September before I'll need to kind of hammer down my plan of attack on that one. At the very beginning of July, I restarted Flagfolk by Notforgotten Farms. I was working on this one, thought it would be, let's see, I was working on this one in June. It might have been like May, into May, beginning of June. I started working on it on a piece of 36 count eggshell. Originally had started it last June when I started all the things. And I decided that I wanted to try to get something patriotic finished before the 4th of July. So I started working on Flagfolk. And all I had was this corner section right here stitched. And then I had this and this middle part. And I had started working down this way. And it was sitting across the table from me one day. I think I was eating lunch. And I looked across the table and I realized I had made a horrible mistake. And this corner was way too big. I mean, I must have just been on some sort of a stitching high or something, because I could have taken all of the stitches and stitched it twice. I mean, that's how humongous I had made it. And to try to unpick it would have been like restarting it over again anyway. And the last couple of the nights that I had worked on it, I kind of wished that I would have pulled a different linen. So I just kind of took it as a sign that I was meant to, you know, restart it on something different. So I did. I restarted it on a piece of 40 count Time Goes by Seraphim. And since I had decided to restart it on a different piece of linen, I also pulled different threads. So one of the things that I really noticed was my threads were blending really well to the point where you couldn't even see, like you couldn't see this little swirly in the corner there. And there was another, I think it was this gold color right here that was not showing up at all. Just a lot of blending. So I kind of bumped up the color palette on it a little bit, made it a little bit more saturated, and I do really like how it looks. But by the time I decided to restart it, I just was not feeling like working on patriotic anymore. And instead I wanted to kind of move to Christmas and Halloween. So this one I think I will plan to pick up in January. I'm going to try to work opposite of the season. So in January, instead of working on like spring, I'm going to work on patriotic. And then what I'm going to try to do when I finish my Christmas projects and my Halloween project that I started, I'm going to try to work on spring. So I'll be doing spring in the fall, but we'll see how well that goes, because I very much am a lover of fall, and fall calls to me all the time, and I might abandon those plans. We'll see. But this is how far I got. I love it so much better on this piece of linen. It looks so fantastic. I just love it. Love it. After I did film the Mocking Basket of Whip video, a lot of you guys said that I needed to work on the Christmas projects because I seemed more animated about them than I did any of the others. And it was kind of funny because I'd already decided to start back on working on another Christmas piece. I'm trying to get more finished because Christmas is one of the seasons where I'm desperately lacking cross-stitch finishes. And so then now that I'm starting to get some of those finishes, it just still continues to kindle the fire of wanting to get more Christmas finished. So I had already picked this up and I'd already started working on it before that video came out, and that is Christmas at Hollyberry Farms. I flipped a coin to decide if I should work on this one or if I should work on gathering the greens. And I was ignoring the Noel sampler, even though she was very loudly calling to me. So I decided to pick this one up and start working on her. Again, her end goal is to get her finished before Christmas this year. So I started building a house, and all I have is the windows done. So I just got a bunch of magically floating windows waiting for some walls. But it was a lot of fun. I think I only worked on this maybe 2 days before I had to rotate to an assignment. But I love this one so much. Every time I pick it up, I just want to keep going and I don't want to stop. I love it. So once I finish my assignments, I will rotate to this one. So as soon as I have completed my shores assignment, I'm going to pick this up and continue working on her. Kind of what I've been doing is the first 2 weeks of the month, I will work on just kind of a project that calls to me from the Mocking Basket. And then the last 2 weeks of the month, I will work on my 3 assignments. And so far it's worked out really well for me. It's almost the end of July. Today's the 23rd, so tonight I'll be picking up shores, and I estimate I'll probably end up working on that for about 4 days. So I'll complete this week, work on Sparrow, and then I'll spend the rest of the time working on this until either something else calls to me or I rotate back to my projects. But I love this one so much. This is being stitched on a piece of 36 count Hogsbristle by Fox and Rabbit, and I am stitching it with the called for threads and stitching it 1/2. Love it. I love this so much. Love it. I love that girl in her beautiful red dress just hanging out there. She's actually out there with some chickens. So I feel like I should probably pop over there and put those chickens so that, she's got something to do while she waits for the rest of the house to be built. But it's so fun. And the colors of this project are very much the colors that I like to decorate with for Christmas. So this piece definitely speaks to me very, very much. The next project I worked on was Sarah's Steward Hardman by Needlework Press. So I am working on this as an assignment with my friend Yvette. And right now we're just kind of doing a couple border flowers each month just to kind of get a little bit of progress going on this one. So the assignment that I assigned was to work on the 3 remaining border flowers up here on the top border. And I was able to complete that. I foresee that the border will come to right about there, and then it will shoot down the side. I know I had a couple people say that I was going to run out of room, so that kind of motivated me to finish the upper border to make sure. And it's going to be a tight margin, which I did know it was going to be. I do wish I would have maybe brought this border a little bit over here, but I knew it was going to fit. But the more people that tell you, that see that it's not going to fit, you kind of freak out a little bit. So that was definitely the motivation to get those 3 border flowers done, and everything's going to fit just fine. So I'm very happy. So I worked on this for about an evening and a half and had a really enjoyable time working on it. I can't wait to begin the descent down the side. And I think for right now, we're just going to be content just to kind of hang out on the border until I hear anything different. Yvette will let me know if she wants to move inland and work on a motif. And, when it comes to assignments, I'm pretty flexible. Projects are supposed to be fun, not a big pain in the butt. So I'm pretty flexible when it comes to assignments. And, if she tells me, hey, let's work on a motif, I'll be like, cool. How about this one? So love working on Sarah. She's being stitched on a piece of 36 count Vintage Buttercream by Lakeside Linens, and I am stitching her with Classic Colorworks. The sampler is charted with silks, Tudor silk, and then there's a conversion to Classic Colorworks, and then there is a conversion to DMC. And so I'm doing the Classic Colorworks conversion, and I'm stitching 1/2, and I love it. It's so much fun to work on. I look forward to it every month, and I'm hoping to have it done in the next decade. I did cave and start something new over the past month. Let me explain. It's been hellishly hot, and we had, it seemed like it went on forever, but I kid you not, we had just day after day after day after day of like 100+ temperatures. And here in my area of Oregon, when it gets up into the triple digits, even when it's up in the high 90s, it's very like moist and like muggy and just humid. And it's just, ugh, you go outside and you just feel gross. And we just had day after day of like triple digits. I don't even want to see what my electricity bill is going to be, because I swear the air conditioning never shut off except at like 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. And you know it's hot when you go outside, and you're outside at 5 o'clock in the morning because you have to go to work early because they're closing early, so they're opening early. And you're standing outside at 5 o'clock in the morning in your pajamas, and you're already sweating because it's that hot. And it was awful. And summer's not even over. Anyway, so I very much wanted to stitch on something that was autumn related. Like, I was ready. And I realized that summer just like barely started a month ago, but I am not a summer person. I love the flowers. I really do. I lost a couple. I lost 2 hydrangea bushes in the heat, and I'm mourning their loss. There was nothing I could have done to save them. Some of the other flowers took a huge hit, which was such a bummer. They were just starting to come on, but I love the flowers. I love gardening, and I want to garden more, but I hate the heat. Anyway, all that to say, I started something new, which was the Jack-o'-lantern Sewing Pocket and Chatelaine by Stacy Nash Primitives. And I really enjoyed working on this one. I do plan on working on it next month. I think what I will do, now that I'm sitting here looking at it, I'm going to work on Christmas at Hollyberry, and then I'm going to switch to this one and see if I can't knock it out. Or I might just decide to see if I can just like knock this one out and then go back to Christmas at Hollyberry, because both of them I do want to get done as well, and Halloween comes first, so I better, get on it. But I did start it, and I love it. I'm stitching it on a piece of 36 count Weeks Havana, and I am stitching it with the called for thread, which is Weeks Charcoal. So another thing I really like about this one is it's just one thread color, so it's not like you're having to switch between a group of threads. It's just the one, so that makes it really nice. But I worked on this for one evening and part of another day, and I enjoyed myself very much. And then I put it away because I needed to go work on assignments. I loved it. It was so much fun. I love working on Havana. Definitely reminds me of like tobacco cloth, which I'm not sure that that's what it was intended to, look similar to, but that's what it reminds me of. So looking forward to getting back to that. And I purchased my pattern, fabric, and threads from 123 Stitch. It was a little while ago. I had a gift card. I got one for Christmas, and I ended up kitting that up because it was one that I just kind of had on my wish list for a while. I couldn't deny myself any longer, and all of the elements of it were in stock, so I just went for it. And the last project I have to talk about today is His Eye on the Sparrow by Heartstring Samplery. So I stitch on this on Sundays with my friend Michelle of Cozy Egg, and I always have a blast working on this with her. I'm trying to remember if last time I did my update video I was still working on the vine, or if I had started, maybe I was working on the pot that's next to the house. But I finished the pot and I started working on the house. I think there's like another motif or two that I've done. But I so enjoy working on this one. It's so much fun. And I copied Michelle's idea of stitching my house in red. So I'm using mulberry, which is one of the called for threads. Mulberry is also one of my favorite red colors. and it definitely got that very neat vintage vibe that I just absolutely love. So I'm so happy that she let me copy her. But I think it's coming along so fantastic, and I just, whenever I can finish a motif, it's just such a cool accomplishment. So I'm stitching His Eye on the Sparrow on a piece of 40 count One More Reproduction by Bee Stitch Me, and I am using all of the called for threads, stitching it 1/2. So I'm looking forward to this coming Sunday when I get to continue building a house. Love it. So fun. So I did have a finish over the past 4 weeks. Actually, it was over this past week that I had this finish. And so at the end of June, when I went and picked up the frames for my previous finishes, I ordered 2 frames, one for Heaven and Nature Sing by Kathy Barrick, and this one that I'm going to show you, Christmas Joy. I went and I picked up the frames after the 4th of July, brought them home, and I really hadn't had a time to sit down and work on them. And then this past Sunday, I decided that I was going to finish them both, so that way I would have them for today's video. I started with Christmas Joy. So before I show it, it does look good, but the gal that took the framing order screwed up. She hardly gave me any margin. So this is like a tight finish. The thing I'm really disappointed in is the fact that the frame for And Heaven Nature Sing was way too small. And I don't know what calculations that she used, but basically for that project, I can't use it. And I don't know what the return policy is on a frame once you leave there and you come home and you've had it for a little while. And I've decided not to even mess with it. I'll just save the frame for something else. And I decided today I had a doctor's appointment that wasn't too far away from Michael's, so on my way home, stopped in at Michael's, and I picked out 2 frames, one for And Heaven and Nature Sing, and the other one for Folksy Thomas. I don't know if I'm going to, how often I will use Michael's, because they are quite a bit more expensive than Hobby Lobby. But what I have decided is that I need to go back to thrifting frames, because that definitely is way cheaper than anything. Basically, the reason why I stopped is I just don't have the extra time right now to go do it. And the few times that I haven't really had much luck. So I need to, like, just on a Monday, go up to the thrift shop and see if they've got anything new. All of that to say, here is my one finish. So this is Christmas Joy by Homespun Prims by Lori. I stitched this one, I think in I finished it in either the fall of 2021 or 2022. It's been waiting for a couple of years for me to frame it. And I actually forgot I had finished this until I started using, I made it's like a fabric roll, and I put it inside the fabric roll and then tied it up inside of it, and I stuck it in my cabinet, and I kind of forgot about it until I started using it for some of these recent finishes. So I decided the time had finally come to find a frame for this. I do like how it turned out. I'm not happy with how tight it is. It's definitely way tighter than what I normally like. I like to have a 1/2 inch between the stitching and the frame, so that way you can see that, you can see the linen. You can see it a little bit more. That's just my preference. A lot of people like their finishes to be tighter. A lot of them like to be way out. It's just kind of whatever, that's what I like. I like my stuff to not be so tight. But it does look good. If this was my first time going to Hobby Lobby to get frames, it would be my last. I'm definitely disappointed in this go around. But the next time I go, I actually think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my piece already laced and then have them fit it to a frame, and we'll go that route. And then I'm gonna take my finished piece, or my finished like laced piece, when I go pick up the frame, and that way if it's not right, they can order a new one. But I do definitely think I need to get back to thrifting frames. But anyway, Christmas Joy by Homespun Prims by Lori. Love it. So happy to have it finished for Christmas this year. I just realized in my little tirade, I stitched this, I think, on a piece of 36 count Heartland. It was the leftover piece of Heartland that I'd cut off of Liberty's Welcome. And so I stitched it with the called for DMC, and I stitched it 1/2. I had done that part of the video 3 times because I couldn't make myself say anything that what didn't sound like really negative. And I mean, I love the piece. It turned out really great. I love how the frame draws the greens and the browns out from the piece, as well as it draws the modeling of the linen. Like I do like how it turned out. And I'm happy that she didn't screw up on the measurements on this one. I just kind of feel like it was sort of meant to look like be. Anyway, but it has grown on me, but definitely way tighter than I like. Anyway, I'll put a link to Lori's website down below. She has a lot of wonderful cross-stitch PDFs available for purchase, and everything that she designs is just so beautiful. And I have a couple of her things kitted up waiting for me, and I can't wait to start working on them. They're just so beautiful. So Christmas Joy, Homespun Prims by Lori. I did a little bit of quilt making over the past month, finally. Before I show what I had worked on, so I've kind of been looking for content that I can do in between my cross-stitch updates. So right now, with kind of everything that's going on in my life, doing these updates every 4 weeks works. I feel like I have content to show, and that's great. But I've been trying to find other things that I can do in between. So I have decided that in 2 weeks, I'm going to put out a quilt tube video. I thought maybe it might be kind of fun because one of the things that it's kind of always really bothered me is when I put my quilting at the end of the cross stitch videos, and I always feel really rushed, not really able to talk about the quilts very much, and I want to be able to talk about them a little bit more, the inspiration, the fabrics, and that kind of stuff. So I thought I can't promise it's going to be like every month, but I thought maybe I would give it a try. Maybe share some of the patriotic quilts before I put them away for the year, kind of talk about them a little bit. Maybe not feel so rushed to like cram them in at the end, because I always feel really bad because quilting is my first love, and I don't feel like I'm able to really give it enough time. And so I thought by maybe doing a quilty tube video, starting off with the patriotic quilts, and then as we move seasonally, kind of talking about some of the other quilts. Again, I can't promise that it will be every single month, but I thought I would give it a try, see how it goes. I don't foresee it being hugely popular because I know, these videos have always been like Flosstube videos, but I would like to try to put in more quilting content, and it's something that a lot of you guys have been asking me to do for years, and I thought maybe I would give it a try. So in 2 weeks, I'm going to put out a quilty tube video, and I'm going to talk about the patriotic quilts. I know the 4th of July is over. I mean, this is going to be in August, but they're out now, and it just would be way easier for me to grab them and talk about them, because then as I bring out the fall quilts, I have fall content. So you see where I'm getting with this. Anyway, so in 2 weeks, I will be back with a quilting video. And then my update, cross-stitching update, will be in 4 weeks, because that works for me. But over the past 4 weeks, I was finally able to do quilting. I haven't done any for a really long time. I definitely was getting kind of twitchy because I really hadn't done anything. It's not a whole lot, because I feel like the more I try to make quilting plans, there's always something that comes up to kind of derail them. So I just kind of work on it when I can at this point. Some of you guys might remember back in, I think it was March, February, March, I started working on the Raven quilt by Blackbird Designs. So I am making this with my friend Olivia B. and Celeste Creates. I have not worked on mine since March, and it's just sort of been sitting, mocking me. So the first block I did was this one, and then I have finished the second block finally. And this one took me a really long time to work on. I was a good week, this sat out in pieces just waiting for me to get to it, and it got to the point where I was starting to get really vexed that I could not work on it, but I finally got it done, and I plan on continuing because I don't want to lose the momentum on this now that I've picked it back up again. I love it. I think it looks great. It makes me so stinking happy. So the fabrics that I used were all Civil War reproduction from my stash. I love how they turned out. I just love them, love them, love them. Still struggling with points. I am not perfect. That's probably my biggest challenge right now, is getting those points to be pointy. I now know why Lori Holt's So Simple Shapes appealed to me so much, was because she kind of took if you had like a star, her So Simple Shapes would give you a perfect star. If you had a bird, it was a perfect beak on a bird. And this is like traditional applique where you got to trace out the template, and I'm doing I'm using the Applique tools and fusible interfacing. I think that's what it's called. And so you trace your shapes out onto this fusible interfacing and cut it out, and then you fuse it to the fabric. And so it's your own, method of turning under is what I just need to perfect my points. That's what I need to do. So that was kind of my biggest headache, was just not getting perfect points. But I'm going to keep going. I plan to pull fabrics for block number 3 this coming week, and hopefully it goes along a little bit quicker. But I love it. So the background fabric that I used for this block was by Kim Deal. It was part of her, I think it was Autumn Farmhouse, I definitely know it was Autumn something. But it just went with the other 2 fabrics that I'd used for the backgrounds, and I love it. And of course, I love that gorgeous pumpkin. That just makes me so happy. So again, I'm using the Applique method. Olivia B, Hillside Rookery, she sells the tools that you need, or that I'm using. She sells the tools, and then the I don't know if it's fusible interfacing. I should look and see what the name of it actually is, but it's like the I don't know if it's applique paper or what, but one side has glue on it and then the other side doesn't. And then the paper, is underneath here. You can feel it. But then you fuse it to the fabric that you're basically appliquing, and then you hand stitch it to the background fabric. So, but Olivia B, Hillside Rookery, she sells the tools and then the fusible applique interfacing. I really should find out what that is, but I'll put a link to Olivia B's Etsy shop. I'm really enjoying using the tools. It does take a little bit to kind of get the muscle memory of the tools, but so far so good. And the only thing I really need to start focusing on is how to get my points a little bit more perfect. They look a little rounded, but it's okay. My husband says it's the handmade look of it, so he thought it looked good. The last project I worked on was with my friend Retha. So right before the 4th of July, we got together to sew, and we made the Made in USA mini quilt by Laundry Basket Quilts, and you can purchase this pattern on her Etsy shop. I got mine as a PDF download. It was a very fun project. It probably took me longer to cut it out than it did to assemble it. I have not had a chance to quilt it yet, and I probably won't until maybe this winter sometime, but here it is. So I made mine out of all Civil War reproduction from my stash. And the background fabric that I used are little cherries, which I just love. I think it looks so cool. But I had a lot of fun making this. I didn't turn out as perfect as I wanted. You know, sometimes when you are working on a project where it's just all straight sewing, piecing, you think it's going to turn out just nice and flat and perfect, and mine didn't. But it'll quilt out. So I love how it turned out, and again, I will try to get this quilted this winter so that way I can have it out next summer and enjoy it. But it was a fun project to work on, and we have picked out our next project, and I need to touch base with her to see if she started it yet because I haven't started mine. But so much fun. Lots of fun. So I will put a link to the Made in USA mini quilt by Laundry Baskets. Sorry for the shake in the camera there. Freddie jumped down from the couch. But I'll put a link to the website down below. She also has a larger quilt that is larger American flag blocks. And I think it's also called Made in the USA. But, and I would have said, hey, let's make that one, but I already have one that's really similar to it. And I just thought the mini quilt would be kind of fun for us to do. It was a hot summer day when we worked on it, so it was perfect. So I thought I would show Freddie really quickly. He came over and wanted to have me pick him up, so I thought, well, since I'm recording, I might as well just pop him into the video so he can say hello. So he ended up going to the vet unexpectedly. He had grass seed that was wedged in between his toes. He had on 3 feet, he had little bits of grass seed. And I didn't even know grass seed could do that to little guys. So I definitely felt bad that he had to go in and then he had to be sedated because he's challenging. Anyway, he also has had an ear infection, so he won't let me put drops in his ears, so they had to put these wax things in there that are supposed to naturally like clean out the ear, but they'll melt and they'll kind of get rid of all of that, you know, stuff that's in the ear. So his ears are a little sticky. But he went to the groomer and he got groomed and he looked very handsome. Anyway, I thought I'd show him since he was here begging for me to pay attention to him. I did get a little bit of happy mail over the past month. Kathy had contacted me and she gets a subscription to Just Cross Stitching magazine, and they had sent out the Halloween issue, and Halloween's not really her thing, so she sent me the magazine and I can either choose to keep it or give it away. I haven't had a chance to read through it yet, but I do hope to flip through it really, really soon, because just from the cover there's a lot of delicious eye candy. So thank you so very much, Kathy, for thinking of me and sending this to me. Thank you, thank you. And then the Fat Quarter Shop sent me some of the new items that they have available now on the Fat Quarter Shop's website, and I'll put a link to the Fat Quarter Shop down below. The first is a cross stitch BMI Bonnet Stitch Card Set U by Lori Holt of BMI Bonnet. Hometown Neighborhood Beehive House by Lori Holt of BMI Bonnet. Super cute. Another cross stitch chart called June's Sailboat, and it's shelf life number 6 of 12. Very fun. A quilt pattern called Hidden Stars by Kim Deal. Very, very pretty. Love it. Cross stitch called Berry Mini Simply Signs. It's called Berry. It's part of the Mini Simply Signs series. Berry season here is just about over. So strawberries are done. The blackberries are near the end here, and peach season has begun. So that one is super cute. And then a quilt book called Strawberry Garden by Fig Tree & Co. Very, very pretty. So thank you so very much to the Fat Quarter Shop for sending those items my way. And again, all of those are available now on the Fat Quarter Shop's website, and I will put a link to their website down below. Well, friends, that brings me to the end of today's video. And if you've stuck around for this length of time, thank you so very much. The plan for me will be to be back in 2 weeks with a quilty tube. So it's going to be, showing quilts, talking about quilts, that kind of thing. So if that's something that's up your alley, I hope you will consider stopping back by in a couple of weeks. I know it probably won't be a very popular video, but definitely something new that I've been wanting to try. And then as far as an update cross-stitching video, I'll put out another one in about 4 weeks. And I forgot to look to see what the date from today is, but I'll scroll it right here. Doing these videos every 4 weeks just works a little bit better for me. I do know that a lot of you guys miss having that cross-stitch content every 2 weeks. But I honestly don't get a lot done right now with just work, and on my days off I'm always busy doing other stuff, and I just don't have as much time as I used to. So definitely gonna keep it at 4 weeks for right now, and then as time goes on I'll reevaluate. I have had a lot of you guys ask if I will be making the autumn primitive goods that I sold last year and have them in my Etsy shop. And yes, I do plan on selling them. I'm in the process of working on them. In fact, I just received some more fabric today, so I will be able to start making pumpkins. And I will talk more about them maybe next time. Basically, you'll probably see when I get ready to list those for sale, you'll probably see it on my Instagram or my Facebook. So if you're not following me, I would recommend either one of those places, because that is where I probably will announce when they'll be available in the Etsy shop. Originally, I was going to try for the beginning of August, but I don't know that it'll be like the beginning of August, but maybe the second week. I'm a little bit late to get going on it, but yes, I do plan on selling them. I plan on making ghost pumpkins, the witch shoes, 2 different sizes of those. I have these other little pumpkin things I'm gonna make, and then of course crows and just kind of whatever else appeals to me. That's what I plan to use. So if you are at all curious, my Etsy shop is Pumpkin Hollow Quilts. I'll have a link to it down below. And then of course I'll also have a link to my Facebook and my Instagram. Anyway, but as far as today's video goes, that is all I have to show and share. So if you've stuck around for this length of time, I greatly appreciate it. If you'd like to see what I'm up to in between my videos, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm Pumpkin Hollow Quilts, or I do have a Facebook page called Pumpkin Hollow Quilting. And again, I will put links to those down below. Thank you so very much for stopping by today. Please continue to spread positivity throughout the community. You have no idea how much a kind or a positive word means to somebody. So definitely, spread it as much as you can. Thank you so much again for stopping by, and I will see you guys again in 4 weeks. Bye.